Jesus was broke. Really? Really? I think I found in the Bible somewhere where he had a treasurer. In order to have a treasurer, you need to have some treasure. You ain't got a treasurer with no treasure. He ain't a treasurer. He's just a ruler. Okay. God delivers from this satanic lie that in order to be closer to God and more like God, I've got to be broke as a joke and ready to choke. It's a satanic lie that was created by religious people who were following their religious leader, because religion was God. The Bible is not a book about religion. It contains religion. The very first religion is mentioned in Genesis chapter number 3, and Satan's the one that started it. Hedonism, humanism. Man gets to become God. You get to decide for yourself what's good and what's evil. That's the first religion in the history of the world. People are still following it today. Okay. So we see clearly that evil people are rich. If we go back and we read in Genesis, I wasn't going to go here. I do have time to go here. If we go back to Genesis, we see that God blessed Adam and Eve with some children, Cain and Abel. Cain slew Abel. And then, do you understand? Satan has been empowering his children for millennia to build kingdoms. People who believe that every human on earth is a child of God are confused because the Bible does not teach that. Just like God has children, Satan has children. How do I know? It tells us that from the beginning. If you look what God said to the woman when she sinned, I will greatly multiply your sorrow and your conception. It doesn't say in your conception, it says and your conception. If I'm going to multiply your sorrow, what does that mean? It means you're going to have more sorrow than you would have had. Isn't that right? Isn't that what it means? If I'm going to multiply your sorrow, you're going to have more sorrow than you would have had. So if I'm going to multiply your conception, what does that mean? You're going to have more what? Children than you would have had. Why is she going to give birth to children, more children? Because some of them will be God's seed and some of them will be Satan's seed. How do I know? Because the same passage tells us that the seed of the woman will bruise the serpent's head and the seed of the serpent will bruise the woman's heel. Jesus said to a bunch of religious leaders who didn't care about truth, you are of your father, the devil, and the works of your father you will do. And there's no place in the Bible that teaches that a child of the devil becomes a child of the king. There's no place in the Bible that teaches that tares become wheat. There's no place in the Bible that teaches goats become sheep. There are lost sheep, sheep who have not yet been redeemed, and there are saved sheep, sheep who've already been redeemed. And then there are goats. Okay, anyway, that was free. I'm not going to charge extra for that. So, we go back to Genesis, and we see that when we look at the lineage, it says of Cain. Cain was of Satan's seed. He slew his brother. He was a murderer from the beginning. That's what the scripture tells us. He was a murderer from the beginning. Okay, here's what it says. Genesis chapter 4 and verse number 17. And Cain knew his wife, and she conceived and bare Enoch. And he builded a city and called the name of the city after the name of his son. What?